And we're going. We'll do a quick audio check and then we will get to it. Let me just make sure that I can hear everything. All right, I can hear myself. Andrew, give me a little sound check.
Sound check 1 2.
All right, perfect. Wow, nice and clear. Perfect. All right. Let's get going. This is F101 week whatever. What week are we? We're week 24. We're getting to the
24.
end. This is the second to last episode. Um it's all come down to this. It's come down to the final race. That is potential. That's working title 1. Working title 2 was whoever loses, we win. Um so we'll see. We'll see which one I'm feeling. Guitar review and the Abu Dhabi preview. Lots to do today. Big, packed, heavy show. So we're gonna just go into it. We're just gonna get started. Uh, McLaren strategy disaster and how is Ferrari this bad? That's your Qatar highlights. The sprint. What? Well, look, it was a sprint weekend. No one likes the sprint. 25 laps for each tire didn't come into play in the sprint. Sprint finishing order: Piastri, Russell Norris was your podium. Then Verstappen, Tsunoda, Antonelli, Alonso, and Sainz rounds out your point scorers, followed by Hadjar, Albon, Bortoleto, Behrman, Leclerc, Lawson, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Hamilton, Gasly, Stroll, Colapinto. Piastri leads from pole and keeps that lead since it's nearly impossible to overtake in Qatar. Russell and Norris also keep their positions, while Tsunoda and Verstappen get by Alonso at the start, and then Tsunoda lets Verstappen by. Even though he qualified ahead of Verstappen for the first time, the team was like, for World Drivers' Championship, you got to let him through, and he did. Tsunoda and Antonelli also both got 5-second penalties for track limits, so it didn't matter. And then Alonso kept it ahead of Sainz, who rounded out our points. Overall, it's pretty boring because Qatar is a bad F1 track. I don't think anything really notable happened during the sprint.
Other than the first turn with Verstappen passing,
We got
that was
by.
about it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it was pretty boring as most sprints. Honestly, the sprint races have not been great. Although next year they're doing a sprint in Singapore, which is diabolical to do a Singapore sprint on the first year of new regulations is just downright insane. Oscar Piastri is the only person to win a Qatar sprint. No one else has ever won the sprint in Qatar. Oscar's won all three. Um, and he um yeah, well, maybe he's only won the two. However many they've done, he's won them all, and they're not doing it next year. So he could be the only Qatar sprint winner in history if they don't bring it back to this racetrack. So congratulations to him. But what everyone wants to talk about and what everyone's been talking about is the race. So unless you have something to say about the sprint, let's get into the meat. Let's get into the turkey.
I'm good with getting into the turkey.
All right. We had our what's it? What's a Thanksgiving appetizer? When I'm at my aunt and uncle's house, we do shrimp, but that's
We
because
do
they're
oysters.
that's because they're rich. We do shrimp.
Uh,
We do Wegmans
uh,
shrimp. They live in
we
Buffalo.
going fancy with the Wegmans.
They live in Buffalo, which is where Wegmans is from. So I feel like it's a little more common over there.
Regardless, so we got some
You have oysters
main
on
course. It's time for the
Thanksgiving
dessert. Yeah,
for
it's my grandfather
an
wants
appetizer.
oysters always, pretty much.
You know what goes great after oysters? Cranberry sauce, turkey, stuffing, and mashed potatoes. Oh, ew.
Listen, don't ask
God.
me, man.
Yeah.
I just picked the
Well,
turkeys.
what was my appetizer for Thanksgiving this year? Pizza. Me and my dad split freezer pizza. I spent about 6 hours on Thanksgiving helping my dad do housework. So,
Was this before or after the Tyler Loop lore drop?
this was before. For those of you that don't know, my family lives in Maryland. We are big Ravens fans. Don't want to talk about it. We're bad. Our offense made the worst defense in the league, possibly the worst defense in history, look amazing. So, um, but we found out that Tyler Loop goes to my dad's church, and they were going to do a Bible study, and he was going to be in the Bible study, but he was too busy. Wonder why. um, So that's interesting. Anyway, because apparently my dad was like, "So what do you do?" And he's like, "Yeah." The guy was like, "I play football. I'm the new kicker for the Ravens." My dad did not know that Justin Tucker had been replaced. So anyway,
What a way to find out.
yeah, it was an eventful Thanksgiving. Yeah, so we've had the freezer pizza. Now let's get into the main meal. My mom has gotten home from work. We're allowed to eat. We ate at like 7:30.
Damn.
Yeah, my mom works. My mom works in a hospital, so she had a
Oh,
good
she
reason to
does that.
she had a good reason to be out. Anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about what everyone wants to talk about. Let's talk about what the people are here for. It's the race. All right. The finishing order is Verstappen, Piastri, Sainz. That's your podium. What a podium. Followed by Norris, Antonelli, Russell, Alonso, Leclerc, Lawson, and Tsunoda, rounding out the points. Albon, Hamilton, Bortoleto, Cole, Pinto, Ocon, and Gasly finish out the finishers. And then Hulkenberg, Behrman, Hadjar, and Stroll all did not finish the race. Good day, Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz. Bad day, Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, McLaren, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari, Ollie Behrman, and Isaac Hadjar. It's rare that, well, not rare, but when I'm giving the bad day to the drivers and the team, it's a total collapse. And McLaren and Ferrari both deserve it. But we got to talk about McLaren and Verstappen and the drama first. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Piastri qualifies on pole. Norris qualifies second. Verstappen qualifies third. Opening lap, Verstappen sends it and gets past Norris. Then the field parades around Qatar for a few laps since you can't overtake. But then Gasly, trying to overtake, hits Hulkenberg, causing a lengthy, and that's the key, lengthy safety car. Everyone but McLaren pits. And since the safety car was long, it allows everyone to catch up back to McLaren. This was immediately seen for what it was, a mistake. McLaren then has to pit out of sequence with everyone else, which gifts the lead and eventual win to Verstappen. So why did this happen like this? Why did the pit stop blunder cost so much? Is because of the aforementioned tire compounds can only be used for 25 laps, not including formation laps, not including your laps to the grid, and not including your laps to the pit lane after the race's conclusion, because those aren't racing laps. 25 racing laps and qualifying laps, but laps at speed, we should say. Um, so you can only use it for 25 laps. Qatar is 57 laps, so you have to pit twice. And if so they all pit on lap 7 or whatever it was. So at lap 32, everybody has to pit again. And then that brings you right to the end of the race. Or maybe it was like lap 9 or whatever. Whatever. Everyone who pitted early had to then pit on like that, like whatever lap it was. Or, they're screwed. They would get disqualified. So everyone pits but McLaren. Norris gets on the radio. It's like, we should have followed Max in. And Will Joseph, Norris's engineer, goes, famous last words, they have lost all their flexibility for the remainder of the race. Bummer. Man, that flexibility really helped McLaren, huh? Ultimately, it didn't matter at all. And McLaren screwed both of their drivers with this blunder. And once again, McLaren is keeping Max in this driver's championship fight. So why did they do this? Maybe they thought they were making a genius call and a strategy masterclass, although it's hard to believe this was the mindset, especially in hindsight. Further on in the race, Piastri asked the team was waiting for a second safety car at that point. But you can't bank on another safety car. This isn't the first time they've been waiting for a safety car either, as that seemed to be part of the strategy in Monza. But the safety car doesn't show up, and it didn't show up in Qatar. You can't bank on a safety car unless you're Flavio Briatore and purposely cause it. I personally think they didn't want to give one of their drivers the advantage over the other. That seems to be the general consensus. If they pit both in double stack, Norris likely gets caught up in traffic, giving the advantage to Piastri, who qualified first for the sprint and won the sprint. So, if anyone deserved the advantage this weekend, it was him. If they only pit one car, the car that stays out gets the disadvantage. In their quest for fairness between their drivers, they miss another race win, and they keep Verstappen in this title conversation. That's
So I
the
thought
McLaren disaster.
sometime since the race, Andrea Stella had come out and said that uh they didn't want to do the double stack, and that's why.
Right, but why? You know what I mean? That's the question: is
Yeah.
why don't you want to do the double stack? And the general consensus is it's because of their dumb papaya rules where they don't want to give one driver an advantage over the other.
Right. Right.
Even though I don't like, I don't know why. Like it just it does, like they should have at least. I get if you only pit one, then that other whoever stays out is totally screwed. But if they pit everybody, then it probably stays Verstappen. Honestly, if you pit everyone, Norris likely gets a podium because he gets to then come out. He probably comes out fifth or sixth, just because of the traffic and stuff. But the
But he
McLaren
still
was
has
the
plenty
only
of
car that
grade.
could overtake.
Yeah.
So it actually probably, in hindsight, would have been better because then Norris would have finished third, Piastri first, Verstappen second, and I think that knocks Verstappen out. And then it's between Verstappen or Piastri and Norris in Abu Dhabi. But instead, you get this weird three-way. That is
We all
just
love a weird three-way.
who has it? Hey, we've all been to college. Um, who among us hasn't been? Let he who hasn't been part of a weird three-way throw the first stone. Okay. Um, it's such a blunder. Like no, like all of the commentators were like, "What are they doing?" It was so crazy. As a McLaren hate watcher, that was really good for me. Um, I cannot believe that they did that. It is like in hindsight, just so like even in the moment, it was so stupid. They gift Max Verstappen another race win. Now all three drivers are tied for race wins. They're all on the seven. Um, so ultimately it screws Piastri over the most because
Right.
he could have won, but he didn't. And because he doesn't win, now he's got a really low chance to the title.
I mean,
So
it essentially nullifies his chance of. It drops his chance of winning in
near
Abu
zero.
Dhabi. Like,
We'll get
yeah.
to it. We'll get to all that he needs to happen. But first we got to talk about Max Verstappen because he was on fire even without the McLaren blunder. His second stint on the mediums was crazy fast. And his final stint on the hards was masterful. He kept first and he kept a huge gap to Piastri behind. I think it was it was double digits for most of the race.
I was
The
actually giving Piastri credit because he was dropping that gap. He
Yeah,
got
at
it
the
down
end.
from like 17 to 13, but
I think it was
no
8
matter
at the
how,
end.
yeah, but no matter how much he tried, Max was so far out of reach.
I also think Max, they probably told him to lay up just in case of the tires. So it was just like, in Vegas, they're like, GP's like, Norris has been told to come get you. And in this race, he's like, hey, Max, Piastri's been told to come get you. Fastest lap, fastest lap, fastest lap. um, the only notable overtakes were Verstappen on Norris on lap one, Piastri successfully dive bombing Antonelli after Piastri took his first stop, and Norris overtaking Antonelli right at the end after Antonelli made a mistake. Antonelli, and I can't believe I have to say this, did not let Norris through on purpose. And the abuse he's got online since Sunday is ridiculous. He didn't let it through on purpose. It's Julian Palmer should not have said that. He
Mm-hmm.
insinuated it. He should not have done that. I believe the Sky people also insinuated it. I don't watch the Sky broadcast because if I have to listen to David Croft and Martin Brundle commentate a race, I will blow my brains out. Nothing against Martin Brundle. I actually do like him. I just think he's a little insufferable. And Crofty is I hate Crofty. Anyway, um and it's just really like he didn't he clearly made a mistake and they showed the mistake. Like it's like, so Norris ends P4 because he couldn't catch Sainz, who did everything and got P3. George Russell does nothing, gets P3. Carlos Sainz does everything and gets P3. And sometimes George Russell does everything and gets P3. Don't not to count out George.
Sometimes you just get P3.
Um, like when in Bahrain was GPS broke and no one knew where he was. um, but yeah, Sainz gets P3, second podium the Williams after being booted from Ferrari for Lewis, who is yet to podium in a race this year. He did win the Chinese sprint, but no one cares. While Sainz continues also to be Ferrari's most recent race winner, which is
Love
really
that for
funny.
him.
Congratulations to Carlos. And after a really rough start on the team, Sainz has pulled it together, and all the effort James Vowles went into recruiting Sainz has monumentally paid off. I'm not a big proponent of watch Drive to Survive to get your F1 info. Watch it for the drama, but you should watch the episode where James Vowles is openly flirting with Carlos Sainz and taking him to a hotel room late at night with a bunch of wine to get him to join his team. You think I'm joking? That happened. And they showed it on
I
Netflix.
believe it.
The only thing that didn't happen was them banging, but
That
who
would have been
knows?
love.
Who know? How do you know they didn't? You know what I mean? How do you know they didn't?
What happens behind closed doors stays behind closed
Exactly.
doors.
Once those
I
Netflix
just
mics and cameras leave, it's open season. Talk about a smooth operation. Anyway, uh, Ferrari, meanwhile, is thanking McLaren for taking up all the headlines after their horrible weekend. Somehow their car got worse, Andrew. Somehow it got worse. I don't know how they managed to do this with 2 races remaining, but it got worse. You think Leclerc down in 8th was bad? Look at Hamilton. He was in the dregs all weekend. At a point, Pierre Gasly comes up to Hamilton and is like, yo, man, your car is bad. And Hamilton's like, yeah, I know. The actual slowest car on the grid is saying the Ferrari is slow. And they're right. That's the thing. Pierre is right. The car is terrible. Hamilton isn't even looking forward to next year at this point. They were like, how's it going? He's like, not looking forward to it. Ferrari, where hopes and dreams come to die. It's a miracle Leclerc's been on the podium this year. One more race for the Tifosi, and it's off to new regs, and next year is our year as we repeat the cycle. I still think they have the strongest driver lineup on paper, so it's really impressive how bad they are. Um, Finally, some penalties for Ocon and others, and others, and others. Ocon got a 5-second penalty for moving before the start. Then he was investigated for not serving that penalty correctly, but ultimately no further action. Stroll got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Behrman got a 10-second stop and go penalty for an unsafe release, which was not his fault. And he ended up retiring the car. He was really upset. They asked him why he. Did you see his interview where they asked him
I
why he
did.
retired the car, and he just goes, and then he goes to the media lady that's with him, and he's like, what do I say? And she's like, this, and he goes, save the engine. It's so funny. If you haven't seen it, please. It's all over Reddit, so go look it up. It's really funny. Yeah, I'm sure if you just Google
I
Behrman Qatar post race interview, it'll come up.
I screenshotted the clip that I saw because I was going to change the group chat photo, but I haven't yet.
Oh, you should. I think it's due for. Oh, it is us driving to Texas. It's hard. That one's hard to
No,
replace.
no, I was thinking of the other one that's currently the back of Lando Norris.
Oh, yeah, 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 okay, yeah. I was like, wait, which one? Too many group chats. And the fantasy football league is also Lando Norris. Who let that happen?
The fantasy football league
Oh,
is
that's
not
you.
Lando Norris. That's me.
Oh, I just saw neon green, which is Lando's color.
No, it's me wearing a yellow Bob the Builder hat.
Oh, okay, never mind. I was gonna say, who's letting Lando Norris infiltrate? Oh, there it is. Okay, beautiful. All right, anyway, uh, Hadjar got a puncture on the final laps, which brought his point scoring race to a pointless early end. Everyone else was just stuck behind the Alonso train because Qatar sucks and he can't overtake. It's just a long parade procession. It's not Monaco bad, but it's really close. McLaren, in what was easily the fastest car on the weekend, needed mistakes from cars ahead in order to overtake, unless aside from Piastri's insane dive bomb. Thank God there isn't a sprint here next year. Also, mandatory pit stops do not save tracks where overtaking is impossible. They just don't. We saw that in Monaco. We're seeing that here. Finally, it's the certified Ferrari moment. I'm giving out 2 awards this week. The first goes to McLaren's strategy team for throwing away another race win on a track where they were much faster than everyone else. The second goes to Ferrari for somehow making their car even worse than it was and ensuring that they finish 4th in the constructors.
Love that for them.
Yes. And do you have uh any final thoughts on Qatar before we move on to the standings?
I mean, my final thoughts are: you just gotta feel for the Piastri family as a whole. Oscar, of course, and then his mother as well, getting the devastating news that her second son is no longer has a seat for next year.
Yes, Yuki. I believe Leclerc is also a Piastri.
I believe so.
Or maybe Piastri's a Leclerc? One of the
I thought
two.
Leclerc's mom was cutting Piastri's hair.
I don't know. I think because Piastri has like all these quote unquote home races, because like his dad is like 1/8 Chinese or something like that.
I
He's
did
like,
not know that one.
it's like something where he's like claiming all these. It's like a funny thing. But the one, because he's got Italian heritage, but he couldn't claim Monaco, and so Leclerc was like, "I'll adopt you." Yeah, rough weekend for Piastri. But there is a bright spot ahead, but we'll talk about that later. But first, we got to get to these standings. All right, World Constructors Championship. Normally I do drivers first, but the constructors fit nicely in the little gap that I had on the page, so we're doing it this way. McLaren in first with 800, they've clinched. Mercedes is in second with 459. Red Bull is in third with 426. Likely where they'll finish, but there is a total of 43 points you can get. If you finish 1 2 and the people in front of you don't get any points at all. So technically, Red Bull has not clinched third. Ferrari has secured fourth. I don't want to say clinched. I'm not saying clinched for any position outside the top three. Also, Ferrari clinching fourth. Let's be real.
Yeah.
They secured it. Williams has secured fifth with 137. Racing Bulls has 92. They're in sixth. Aston Martin 80. Haas has fallen behind them after Alonso's performance in Qatar. Now Haas has 73. Sauber has 68. And Alpine has 22. And they are in dead last. Even if they got a 1-2 and Sauber did not score at all, Alpine would have 65 points and they would still not be in first. Or they would not pass Sauber. Funnily enough, because of Yuki scoring in Qatar and Ferrari doing so horrible, they, even if Ferrari got a 1-2 and Red Bull didn't score at all, Ferrari would be 1 point behind Red Bull. They would have 425.
Damn.
So Ferrari is officially in fourth. The driver standings. Norris has 408. He's in first. Verstappen in second with 396. Piastri in third with 392. That's all up for grabs. Russell has secured fourth with 309. Leclerc has secured fifth with 230. Hamilton is in sixth with 152. Antonelli, he's chasing him, 150. Antonelli outscores Hamilton by 2. He just has to tie Hamilton and he'll win because he has better finishes than Hamilton. Albon's got 73. He's being chased by Sainz, who has 64. Hadjar's got 51. Hulkenberg 49. Alonso 48. Behrman 41. Lawson 38. Tsunoda 33, Ocon 32, Stroll 32, Gasly 22, Bortoleto 19, Colapinto 0. None of those positions are secured. In the event that Gasly wins, he would really make a leap. If Colapinto wins and Bortoleto doesn't score and Gasly doesn't score, Bortoleto would move up 2 points, 2 places. Now that is not going to happen, and in all likelihood, Colapinto is getting last in the drivers this year. But it's not mathematically clinched, so you can't say that it's clinched. You know what I mean? So
Now I know what you mean.
that is where we stand. It is the Abu Dhabi preview. This is it. Well, before I get into it, any thoughts on the standings? I know sad days for the Haas fans getting bumped below Aston again.
Yeah, it's rough, but you know what? We got one more bounce back race, and then, we got it. We got the bounce back race, I believe.
Got to outscore them by 8.
Easily done.
Actually, I think if you outscore them by 7, because Behrman finished 4th in a race. So I think if you tie, Aston or Haas takes the win.
You
I
know what?
think.
I'll take it.
But I don't know how it works with the constructors.
Probably the highest finish.
Well, yeah, probably, or amount of highest finishes. So,
Yeah.
all right, and then Behrman. I mean, he just has to outscore Lawson, and I think it's gonna be tough to catch Alonso. But if I guess if Haas passes Aston, Behrman will likely pass Alonso. unless Ocon finally decides to show up.
I
Uh,
doubt that.
yeah, he's not looked great. Anyway, moving on. Abu Dhabi preview. This is it. The final race of a dramatic season. It all comes down to this. McLaren has let it get this far. Can they close it out? Will Verstappen secure a historic fifth in a row? 16 points between the championship contenders, while there's 6 points between our pick the podium contenders. There's a lot at stake for everybody involved here, not just at the front, but through the midfield as well. The final race of the ground effect era. Tension mounts for McLaren, relief is on the horizon for Ferrari, and 58 racing laps stand between us and the end. Who wins? There's only one way to find out, and that is when the dust settles on Sunday morning. So tune in. You're not going to want to miss it. If there's ever a race to watch, this is it. Find a way to watch it. Before we get into the schedule, though, we do have some sad breaking news. The 2026 grid, Andrew, has been set. I'm sure you've seen the news. Hadjar is moving to Red Bull. Lawson is staying at Racing Bulls. Rookie Arvid Lindblad will be moving up from F2 to Racing Bulls. And Yuki Tsunoda staying in the Red Bull family as a reserve and test driver. It is sad to see my favorite driver leave the sport, but I'm very happy I got to watch him race live and in person this year, and in the Red Bull, to top it all off. Yuki Tsunoda, I will always love you. You will always be my favorite, and I hope you get to make that restaurant in London one day, and to, in your words, bring them some good food. I had accepted that Yuki wasn't going to be in the sport this year, but actually seeing it official and like seeing all the farewell posts and stuff, I was getting pretty sad. I was like, damn, that's it, huh? I'm happy he's staying in the team as a reserve driver. I hope that we can see more of him on social media and stuff, kind of like in the way that Bottas has been doing for Mercedes. And if someone gets injured or someone gets sick, Yuki comes in. So there's a way we can see him on track one more time. But he'll also probably be doing a lot of like the media stuff, like the fun little like the show races and stuff. So, there actually might be more Yuki on our screens than normal, which would be great.
More Yuki content.
Yeah, I'm always down for more Yuki content. But yes, I'm very glad that I got to see him race in person. It's one thing to see a race, it's one thing to see your favorite. It's like another to see your favorite driver. Like that was just great. And I'll always have that. No matter what, like Yuki does, I'll be like, I got to see him race in person. And you'll get to say that about Behrman, and Sam will get to say that about Antonelli. So, um, yeah, I was a little sad. And then I was having a frustrating day at work, and then I kept seeing all the farewell posts, and I was like, I'm gonna throw my chair through a window. Anyway, it's Abu Dhabi time. Practice 1 is Friday at 4:30 a.m. Anyone waking up? I'm not.
Hell
I
no.
I got work. Practice 2 is Friday at 8 a.m. Practice 3 is Saturday at 5:30 a.m., which is when I normally wake up for work. And then qualifying is Saturday at 9 a.m. and the race is Sunday at 8 a.m. So that is the schedule, the final schedule for the season. It's another early one. I kind of appreciate that. You kind of get the whole day to kind of relax. And if you don't like what happens in the race, then you can watch football, and you can probably not like what happens on the field even more, especially if you're a Ravens fan, because they play the Steelers, and we're going to lose. Anyway, here's what everyone wants. All right, this is what everyone's here for. What is it going to take for Norris, Verstappen, or Piastri to win the championship? All right, for Norris. All right, and pay attention here because there's a lot. If Norris finishes on the podium, he wins. All right, that's simple. He finishes on the podium, he wins. Doesn't matter what Verstappen and Piastri do. Finishes on the podium, he wins. Or if he finishes fourth, Verstappen in second, he wins. If he finishes fifth, Verstappen in second, he wins. Or if he finishes sixth, Verstappen and Piastri in second or below, he wins. Or if he finishes seventh, Verstappen in second and Piastri in second or below. All this is like finish in second or below. Just to clarify, he wins. Or if Norris finishes eighth, Verstappen in third, Piastri in second. Or if he finishes ninth, Verstappen in fourth, and Piastri in second. Or if he finishes 10th, Verstappen in fourth, Piastri in third. Or if he doesn't score at all, Verstappen in fourth and Piastri in third. That's how he wins. That's a lot. I know. It's all written down. There's a lot of ways for him to win, but obviously it gets complicated as you go further down the order. Ultimately, he's the podium and he wins. That's the goal. Which should alleviate some of the pressure, but also brings that dynamic that I love of driver with everything to lose versus driver with nothing to lose. And there's 19 other cars all racing for a win. He can't just cruise. No one on the grid is going to be cruising. They all have stuff to fight for in the constructors, aside from Williams, basically, and Ferrari. But the drivers in Williams and Ferrari are not going to be, they're not going to just give up. So everyone's got something to fight for. If something weird happens and Norris gets caught up in traffic, or Verstappen or Piastri, like that is like those guys behind him are not going to want to be passed. So but ultimately there is a lot of ways for him to win. Verstappen, if he wins, Norris finishes in 4th. Verstappen wins. Or if Verstappen finishes in 2nd, Norris down in 8th and Piastri in 3rd. Or if he finishes 3rd, Norris in 9th and Piastri in 2nd. Essentially, Verstappen needs to win and Norris needs to not podium. This happened in Qatar. It's not impossible, but it's not going to be easy. Verstappen, however, is very committed to winning it all. He said so himself multiple times, which for McLaren must be really scary to hear. Like, how's Max going to treat this? He's like, I'm going for it. I'm going for it. If he wins, he would tie Schumacher for 5 in a row and have the largest comeback in the history of the sport. And Red Bull loves their headlines, so they got a lot of motivation here. Piastri, he needs to win, and Norris needs to finish in 5th or below. It doesn't matter what happens to Verstappen. Or if Piastri finishes 2nd, Norris in 10th, Verstappen in 4th. Those are the only 2 ways Piastri can win. 1st or 2nd. Finish in 3rd, doesn't win. Obviously, it's the hardest for Piastri, who is in this position not because of Qatar. I want to be clear. He's not in this position because of Qatar. He's in this position because he's sucked from Monza to Brazil. That is why he is in this weird position, because he was awful after the summer break. He, like Verstappen, basically needs to win, but unlike Verstappen, he really, really needs Norris to fall apart. So that's what it takes to win. Let's talk about the big scenario on everyone's mind. I wrote this before certain things came out today, and I'll talk about them later. Piastri is out of it, barring a miracle. So does he help Norris? Let's say Verstappen's going to win. Piastri's in 3rd, and Norris is behind him. The team tells Piastri let Norris through. At this point, Piastri has no chance of winning the race unless Verstappen and whoever's in 2nd, let's say Tsunoda, for fun, get disqualified. Does he let Norris through? I don't know. Disqualifications happen. It happened to McLaren in Vegas. Piastri and Norris seem like they like each other. I don't think Piastri would want to burn bridges with the team, but I can't say for sure he'd let Norris through, and I also can't say for sure that he wouldn't. I wrote this on Monday. Today, Stella said that they're free to race. He's like, we're not getting involved. They're going to race each other. We're not doing team orders. Now, they say that, but if it comes down to this scenario where for Norris to win, Piastri just has to let him through, what happens? Does Piastri do it? Does he not? I feel like maybe you don't, because you can hold out to the hope that everyone but you gets disqualified. But it's interesting. But McLaren have said they're going to let him race. So we'll take their word for it, and we'll see how it shakes out. Qualifying is going to be really important. You can overtake here, but, if McLaren's faster than everyone, it's not going to matter. But there's still 17 other drivers on track and 8 other teams. So let's get to them. Starting with Red Bull, this is Tsunoda's last race of the team, and he's been better without the pressure of fighting to keep his seat. He probably knew in Qatar that pressure was lifted. He out-qualifies Verstappen. He does all right in the race. So he has one last shot at glory, and we'll see what he does with it. Mercedes remains a podium threat, even after a rough Qatar. Russell has been dealing with a steering issue that's hurt his pace. I don't really know why the team haven't been able to fix it, but Antonelli's been on fire, and he would have gotten 4th in Qatar if not for a small mistake at the end. Would not be surprised to see Antonelli on the podium to end the year. Ferrari, the other quote-unquote front-runner team, is a mess. Sure, Hamilton could get a podium, but he won't. And if the past few races are any indication, he won't play any part in this drivers' championship battle. Leclerc, however, could interrupt things, but I don't think it's very likely after Qatar. I wouldn't be surprised if Ferrari somehow became the slowest car on the grid. They're that bad. But no matter what, they're locked into 4th in the constructors, so there's that at least. But that's also bad because they've been top 3 since 2021. Williams has secured 5th in constructors, but a big finish from Sainz, who's only 9 behind Albon, could see him be the best of the midfield. We know he's capable of it, and I wouldn't say you're crazy to have him on the podium again. I really wouldn't. It's a long shot, of course, but he's definitely capable. Racing Bulls are 12 ahead of Aston, who are 7 ahead of Haas, who are 5 ahead of Sauber. Haas need a driver to finish fifth or sixth and Aston to not score at all in order to pass them. Aston would need a podium and Racing Bull to not score at all to move up. And Sauber only needs seventh and a scoreless Haas to move up. These midfield battles are going to be intense. They're racing for a lot here. The difference in that it makes for a small team, the prize money that you get between fifth and sixth or sixth and seventh is huge. Expect them to get in the way of the front runners. Expect disruptions. No one is going to give up a place easily. Yes, Alpine is locked in the last, but if Colapinto wins, you can move up 2 places in the drivers. So there's a lot to race for all throughout the field. Abu Dhabi, and thrilling conclusion to F1 2025 awaits. Andrew, any thoughts? While I take a sip of water after that very long tirade.
Um, so I guess the one thing that I was going to mention with the Norris Piastri situation with overtaking is, or if Norris needs to pass Piastri just to win, personally I would like to see like Piastri just hold his ground. Um, I don't think the team orders at that moment it would just you know it wouldn't destroy at all like the driver actually winning because I think any one of them wins they've deserved it, but it would just damn McLaren to hell in a PR nightmare.
Mm,
Um, but I also think just the way Piastri is I think he would do it for Norris if McLaren asked. Despite Mark Webber being his um, like mentor uh, and all of that, like it's I just think that's who Piastri is. Um, I think after Qatar, he's kind of just he knows he needs a miracle, and I think he'd be more willing to play the team game because I think he just wants the season to be over.
mm. Yeah, it would be if Lando gets the championship because of team orders. It would be a PR nightmare. And the only way they would get out of it is if they win it next year on merit again.
Yeah,
So
which
is
I
not a
mean is
guarantee.
definitely possible, but yeah, definitely not a guarantee.
Here's the thing: if the rumors, which are all baseless because they're rumors, are that Mercedes is going to be the best team because of the power unit next year. McLaren buys their power unit from Mercedes. Now, obviously, McLaren is better than Mercedes this year because of the car design. But on the first year of new regs, if it is down to the power unit, the team that made the power unit is going to understand it better and be able to extract more
Mm-hmm.
out of it. Um, but again, we don't know what's going to happen with that. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. The commentary, like I said, no matter who loses, we win.
Right.
Because the commentary, excuse me, alone is going to be crazy. So tune in 8 a.m. Sunday for a thrilling end. Thrilling. Normally the midfield battles do go on this long. It's rare the drivers goes on this long. It only has gone to last time it went down to Abu Dhabi was in 2021, and we're still talking
Mm-hmm.
about it. So we're still
Well,
talking about 2021. So that is there was also a lot of controversy. So
the one thing that I did see with like having multiple, or no, it was not going down to Abu Dhabi, but when you have multiple drivers in the fight for a championship, like I kept seeing like there's a bunch of different like I don't want to say streaks because it was only 2 races, but like in the last time that there were 3 or more drivers involved, the person in third ended up winning,
mm,
but the winner of the previous year's Abu Dhabi race went on to win the next championship. So it's like that's a point for Norris, and then there's just Verstappen being Verstappen in Abu
yeah.
Dhabi. He's been here before.
Well, they all have
It
F2
well,
races
but
here
like
too. So that like familiarity is not a
I mean, more have been here before. In it comes down to
Oh
this
yeah, yeah.
race.
Anyone know what Michael
Um,
Massey's doing this weekend? Can we get him in? Put him in the stewards room just for old time's sake.
just fuck shit up some more.
Yeah, what's he doing? What's that crazy Australian doing? Oh man.
Probably sitting at home drinking a beer, going, "This is gonna be great."
It's lap 55 of 58. By God, that's Michael Massey's music. He's coming in with the steel chair. Oh, that would be so good. Just if I'm telling you, if for some godforsaken reason, here's the worst case scenario. Verstappen is winning. Verstappen is in a position to win the championship. Lap 54 or whatever, someone crashes into the wall and the race ends under a safety car. The outrage from 2021 would be insane. Um, so that is, I think, actually the worst case scenario, just because, like, oh, now we got to talk about 2021 all over again. Um, so that it's going to be, I mean, ultimately, the worst case scenario is that this just becomes like a McLaren 1-2. They just take off and it's like a nothing burger.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be
but
which would be a fitting end to this year.
it would be a fitting end to this year. But Max has done everything he can to make this year exciting. So we
The
gotta
one
thank him
thing
for that.
The other thing I did see is that when Max had the penalty with George Russell
Yeah.
earlier this year, it's like, well, if that didn't happen, he would be tied with Norris or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean if Norris didn't crash into Piastri.
Yeah,
If my mom
yeah.
had balls, she'd be my
Ball
dad.
should be my dad.
Exactly.
I'm
So
familiar with the quote.
yeah, the what's got more ifs, F1 or Justin Herbert?
uh,
Exactly. Think about that. That's your thought experiment for the week. um,
depends. Am I
that's
doing
what I
well
want to
now or
know in the
not?
comments. That's what I want to know in the comments. Who has more ifs, F1 or Justin Herbert? So if you're in the comments, let me know what you think. Um, finally, let's get some administrative stuff. There's no pick the podium this week because it's blind. Everyone has texted me their pick the podiums. I know who's picked what. It is between me, Sam, and Nate. Andrew and Dave are out of the running. Andrew, if you'd like to, I will give you the opportunity to say your pick the podium right now for the crowd. However, if you want to keep it a secret until next week, I would absolutely respect that decision as well.
Listen up here, chat.
Uh-oh.
I did have a conversation with Max today where, as
Wait, me?
yes, you,
Okay.
not Verstappen,
I was gonna say, what are we talking about today?
our wonderful host of F101 this year, who's done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Um, he, we did talk about, there hasn't been a perfect podium yet, and I do have a chance to remind the other
Oh
competitors,
yes, yes, yes.
who was the first champion in F101. Um, I also have, in not last week, but I think the previous F101 stated that I had certain streaks going and that I could do some of the funniest things
Yes.
possible. Uh, I think because I am not mathematically eliminated, or because I am mathematically eliminated, I had I had to think about this, but I think my plan is definitely to attempt to keep those streaks going.
All right, we'll keep your
Uh,
picks a secret,
oh, I am
and
keeping my picks a secret.
the devoted listeners can will know what you're talking about.
Or we'll go back and listen to find.
I think it
Uh,
was 2 weeks ago. It was either 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago.
I think it was 2 weeks ago because I missed last week's.
Here's what I said. I said this year still needs a perfect prediction. Could last year's champion remind the world that he's just down, not out? and then I can't say anything else because it spoils. I can't read any more of the conversation because it's a big
My
spoiler.
statistics this year are some fucking
That's
shit,
crazy.
bro.
It is crazy, and I can't put it here because of the. So that's why there's no pick the podium stats either because it's all coming down to this. I will say I can confidently say that nobody has the exact same prediction as anybody else.
And I love that.
That's your teaser, and I will text the group chat that they know. For pick the podium, no one has the exact same prediction as anyone else. Now, some people have same people winning. Some people have the same people in whatever. So I can't get into that. Um, But yes, I have them written down. We will be doing a live reveal next week. I'm not even going to update the sheet. It's going to be updated live. Like I'm going to display it live. Um, so like I said, I will not be updating the spreadsheet until December 10th. Updating it live in the show. We're not going to know the winner till then. I mean, I'm going to know the winner, but that's fine. I have to get the winner a prize, so it gives me more time to do it. So I already know what the prize is going to be, but I have to go and get the prize. Well, I will not reveal the prize. I will reveal the prize next week. Andrew already knows what the prize. Everyone actually knows. Well, Nate doesn't know what the prize is. Andrew and Sam know what the prize is because there was a chance they could overlap, accidentally get themselves the prize, and I didn't want it to happen. And then I texted Nat. I was like, "Hey, make sure you don't get this for Nate for Christmas." Um. Anyway, yes. So I will know, but that's fine, and I'll sit on it and I'll let it simmer. I will say, Sam texted me. He says, in he just wants the F101 championship. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care who wins the race. He just wants the championship. Um, which is very, he wants it clearly. Which is really funny for someone who said maybe I'll finally read the sheet, like the document today, so I can actually have a better understanding of what's going on going into this race. Which
It
must
doesn't.
piss you off.
I mean, it does and it doesn't because, I mean, he's not doing it like it's not like he's out here picking Aston to win. Like
Hmm.
he is picking Mercedes to get podiums, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, but I
I
actually think that's helping him more than hurting because he's not like having indecision on like
Well, actually, for wins, he's only ever had Russell once. He's
and
had Piastri 9 times.
right. But I feel like he's not like swayed by it at all by like Sainz
Yes.
potentially getting a podium or Leclerc potentially getting a podium.
Yeah.
Whereas when we see Nate every week going, do I put Leclerc in there? Because we know he's a good driver and he can do it.
Yeah.
Things like that. But it does piss me off to some degree.
Which is
But
fair.
it's okay. But it's okay because you know it's also affecting him in other games that we play, and he has
uh,
to display a picture of the winner in there.
oh, yes. For fantasy football, Sam may lose the league, which would be great. Yeah, do I throw? Oh, we'll talk. I was offered a trade today, and now I'm thinking, do I take that trade to give Sam the loss? um. Anyways, we'll get to that. Me and you will talk next week. December 10th is the final show of the year. We're gonna recap the race. We're gonna recap the year. We're gonna crown a pick the podium winner. We're gonna go over our early season predictions. If you even remember what you said, we're
Oh
going to cover some
no.
favorite moments, and we're going to start the countdown for next year. I will say for early season predictions, I'm the only one who can get it right at this point. So yes, we'll start the countdown for next year as well. It'll be a good time. It'll be a good show. Andrew, thank you for being here. My most consistent fan,
Always.
and my most consistent, honestly, my co-host. Let's be real. You're not just a guest. You're the co-host. And I'm really excited for your fantasy football show next year. Where you do all the work instead of me.
You know, if I had time, I would. Uh, Potentially, it could just be us gathering around here to talk and have no format.
I'll
But we'll
stream it.
see.
I'll stream it. I'll put something up on the screen. Just yeah. So anyway, thank you for being here. Like I said in the comments, tell me who has more ifs, Justin Herbert or F1. Um, and we will see you back here next week for the last show of the year. Thank you, everybody, and good night.